prior to this project starting, you would have needed to apply for a licence to put in these sort of works, or any bank works, either that or a registration, and you would have had to pay a fee and fill out paperwork, and it can take up to 4 months for SEPA to determine whether it was okay or not for that location. To make it a bit easier to put in these sorts of sustainable bank protection works, we have got it now as what we call a general binding rule, so a GBR, and this is GBR 25. And what that means is there's a set of conditions, and as long as you adhere to those conditions, you do not need to apply for a licence, you don't need to talk to SEPA, you can just go and crack on and do it. So those conditions are I'll go through a few of them briefly: making sure it's securely attached to the bank, making sure that it ties into the line of the bank, particularly at the upstream and downstream ends, and I think most importantly, making sure that that surface is rough and it cushions the flow. So if you put in a log with no branches, that doesn't count. You need to ensure that it does have that roughness and that sort of matrix of branches to defect flows and protect the banks. To make it a little bit more accessible to people, we did create a design guide, and that goes through the different types of techniques and where they might be most appropriately used. So that's there for people to use, and also we're very, very happy to field questions about the technique and give people advice if they need a bit of help or they're a bit confused about what might be appropriate where.
The benefits of sustainable bank protection are quite wide-ranging. So traditionally people would have used harder techniques like riprap or gabion baskets. And what you often find is that the energy from that would normally have eroded that bank gets pushed or deflected elsewhere, so sometimes you can increase erosion elsewhere. But with sustainable bank protection, because you're using effectively a combination of living and dead trees and other vegetation, it creates like a rough surface, so that breaks up and dissipates that energy rather than pushing it somewhere else. So you tend not to get increases erosion elsewhere. But it also brings further benefits in it can increase the diversity of habitats on your riverbank, providing places for other species like birds and other animals to take shelter. And in the channel, it can provide shelter for fish along the toe of the bank too. So I think this is an important scheme for land managers to consider, because it can, where you have significant erosion problems that are impacting your land, you can turn to this technique to hold your banks from the river, but it's doing it in a way that is relatively low cost and has less of an impact on the wider river and the environment than traditional techniques. And it should also be lower maintenance too, and provides the wider benefits to the environment as well.